Beautiful design, really good online ordering. It's good.
See, door-to-door salesman. It works.
Yeah.
It still works.
I'm selling somebody else's stuff. This is our new washout booth, our first like real legitimate purchase. It was actually a ripoff. But anyway, moving on.
Yes. When we start a print, I'm sorry, I'm distracted again. When we start a print run, we'll pull a color and make sure that it's printing all right. And we hold on to those and we keep using them over and over again. And they slowly build up into these beautiful items.
Yeah, these are trash until one color on top of everything makes them really, really beautiful. So this is not a poster, this is a one-of-a-kind piece of trash. But the thing is that the one thing that's so humbling about these is that they really are trash. But the compositions and the color and the texture is pretty much the most beautiful thing that we've ever seen in our entire life. Besides our wives.
I do have 2 children, too. And my wife, yes.
The most beautiful aesthetic item.
On printed item?
Printed. Most beautiful printed item. But so these have actually been our biggest inspiration, you know, in terms of like if someone asked us what what creative inspiration, it would be probably the test prints.
And so there's been a few posters where we try to recreate that sense of randomness and beauty, but it doesn't have the same feel as those. And I'm sorry, I got distracted by the gift for myself.
Yeah, you know, there's a certain yeah, we can go ahead. There's a certain part of that test printing process, because it's completely unconscious and there's no real like critical control of composition or color. It's always going to be 10 times better than anything that we want it to be when we try and recreate it. I mean, that's what's so great about test prints, is that like they're a great testament to kind of the power of chaos and the power of the natural organic process of just constructing something.
That's what we should call our next presentation, the power of chaos.
Just hocked a loogie into the mic. 2 more posters that do kind of allude to that influence of test prints on kind of a textural and compositional level. But they also are really good examples to start talking about using found imagery and kind of how we think about using found imagery in terms of fair use or copyright. Because it is, obviously, it's a big question, even more than ever, given the internet or recent poster.
Okay.
I'm not going to get started. Controversy.
Oh,
that's the word I was trying to remember.
He was going to talk about Shepherd Ferry, but we all agreed not to talk about Shepherd Ferry.
But for us, what it comes down to is a really simple concept that hopefully we can explain here with these posters. And it's just, it's actually a term the government uses, and it's just called advancing the image. And what that means is that no matter what image you use, if the final product that you have created with that image has an altered meaning or an altered message, you have advanced that image. So the example, the best example here is the poster on the left, this grizzly bear poster. You can see it's comprised of these nice doily shapes and the interior of a cathedral. And the 2 of those together kind of make this screaming face, which kind of touches on the album that they were touring off of, Yellow House. Was recorded in a yellow house, and it's kind of about the lead singer losing his boyfriend. And so there's a lot of things that make sense for that image in terms of grizzly bear, but more so those 2 images combined now create a new meaning and a new idea and a new visual equivalent than they would have before. So although we didn't take the picture of the cathedral, it's not a cathedral anymore. It means something more than that. It means this face, it means the emotion of the band. So we've advanced the narrative of what these images mean. This Nico case poster is a good example, but it's also kind of a guilty example. We have a huge archive of royalty-free imagery that's from the 60s, so it wasn't copyright imagery, and it's also vintage. And this is literally a direct pull from a brochure design from that book. So there's no copyright on it in the first place, but our edition was the tiger in the corner and the type. So really, 90% of this thing is not anything that we made on our own. But with the addition of that tiger, suddenly the meaning of that deer and its obliviousness to that, and that the other deer know what's going on behind it, is completely altered. So the meaning is changed just by the addition of that one image. On one part, it's a perfect example of advancing the image, but on the other part, it's kind of guilty because we just put a tiger in there. So we really didn't do much, but the idea has been changed.
You can always add a tiger to fix a design, that's all.
Got design problems? Add a tiger. But that leads us to Jonathan Schuster.
Yeah, Jonathan is the third apparatus person that is not here, but he started out as an intern, was it 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I ask you that every time I talk about him. And we hired him on. He works as our studio manager, our shipping department, our print helper, printing hand.
Print assistant.
But overall, I mean, more than anything, he's a great illustrator and a good designer. But he's pushed us with work like this, I mean, inspired us to try to do more of our own illustration and rely a little bit less on found imagery. So this is a poster that he worked on for Man Man, which I don't think either of us are going to be capable of in the next couple of weeks. But so he did that, and this another fairly recent one where I don't even know. I just had this idea that I wanted to see Sasquatch on the Loch Ness Monster. He's like, well, I can draw that. Like,
and he can.
Make it happen, Jonathan.
And it really has kind of like pushed our creative process too. You know, like previously, at least for myself, I'll research a band. I'll listen to all the music and the lyrics and interviews and watch some video and whatever I can do. And then with all those ideas in my mind, just start looking through books and catalogs and trying to find images. Oh, that somehow is right. I'm not quite sure why yet. And a lot of time would be spent just kind of looking at stuff and then scanning it in and compiling it. But now there's actually there's a sketching process involved of like trying to draw out ideas first, which, I mean, you know, we should all sketch. Yeah, we should all sketch. We should all brush our teeth twice a day. But it is something that we have done a lot more of. And I mean, this Dan Deacon poster is an example of that, where it actually came from a visual idea that I don't know we would have come up with if we hadn't just been drawing it first and getting out ideas onto paper and just different compositions and different combinations of images and ideas. Another influence that Jonathan's had on us that isn't maybe directly related to drawing, but is directly related to kind of the hand-making process is this experiment of taking a physical collage and converting it to a digital print or digital file and back to a screen print again. So our friend Jeff Pivito, the guy that had the double hernia in Austin, he runs a decoder ring design concern out of Austin, and they run a kind of a visiting printer series. And so we went down there and printed there for a week with them. And this print is a actual existing collage that we built and then disassembled digitally and reprinted as a 17-color print. And the rules that we gave ourselves were like, any color that's on there has to be printed. So the first two colors were actually just yellowed paper color. One was a little gray, one was a little cream colored. Anything that was 4-color process had to get printed 4-color process. Anything that was spot yellow had to get printed yellow. There's spot pink, spot green, spot yellow. So it's kind of masturbatory, but it's still that process of working with a physical form as opposed to scanning and working digitally to compose imagery. And so that opportunity is kind of extended